Apple has done a lot of things in the past that have made their customers proud of being MacBook owners. And the 15-inch 2012 MacBook Pro is a good example of just that. It's 2019 by the release of this video, and I wanted to take a look back at what this laptop did right and how it performs today. Well, join me in a quick dive of this machine.
This video was made possible with the help of PureVPN. This is a VPN service that will keep your browsing data secured and away from your service provider or other snoopers. Make your browsing safer today with the affiliate link in the description.
The exterior design consists of aluminum for the majority of the build, with the exception of the hinge, which is made out of plastic. That isn't to say that the hinge isn't strong, however. Overall, this machine is very well built and is very solid. The hinge in particular has not worn down at all and is easily openable with just one finger to this day. The build quality is great. On the left, you'll find the majority of the ports consisting of a MagSafe connector, Gigabit Ethernet port, FireWire 800 port, Thunderbolt port, 2 USB 3.0 ports, an SD card reader, audio in, audio out, and the battery indicator. On the right, you'll find the disk drive and a Kensington lock. This laptop features a 15-inch 1440 by 900 resolution display that has a surprisingly vibrant color and definitely looks nice in 2019. Surely it's not as good as the newer MacBooks or higher-end Windows machines, but I was surprised to see how well this display held up while watching content or even gaming on it. It's reasonably bright, not super sharp, but displays very nice color. It's a low resolution display, barely any higher than 720p, which is noticeable, but content is still quite enjoyable here. The keyboard is pretty good. It's a little mushy, but they feature quite a bit of travel. I'm not super accurate with this keyboard considering that I'm used to using a much more modern iteration, but this keyboard is still nice to type with. I type fast even if I end up with some typos along the way, because the keys are a little bit cramped. Overall, it's a good keyboard. The trackpad is another win for Apple. This trackpad has a great texture covered in glass and supports a variety of gestures to make navigating through macOS a pretty decent experience. You have to press down on the pad to register any clicks like in the old days. It's a very solid trackpad. But as I'm sure we all expected, the webcam is pretty terrible, and it doesn't help that more recent MacBooks have not done much to improve on this older design. It's super grainy, plays at 12 frames per second, and performs horribly under dim lighting. The speakers are still pretty decent by today's standards. They get pretty loud and don't have a lot of distortion at high volumes, making it a decent device for watching content if you don't have headphones with you at the moment. Not the best experience for music since they lack some depth, but good enough for watching content. This laptop features pretty good hardware from back in the day, including an Intel Core i7-3820QM, which is a quad-core CPU running at 2.7 GHz. It comes with a GeForce GT 650M GPU with 1 GB of VRAM, 4 GB of RAM, but can be upgraded, and about 500 GB HDD. Now that we've got the specs out of the way, we can talk about its actual performance in professional software. Performance in Photoshop is pretty solid and smooth. I don't have any glaring issues with how it performed here. I did not experience any lagging even after adding multiple adjustment layers. However, my projects are fairly light and 4 GB of RAM will be eaten up easily. As for performance in Adobe Premiere Pro, I needed to optimize some of the settings a bit in order to make it more suitable for this machine's older hardware. After some tinkering, Premiere Pro actually performed pretty well. Scrubbing through the timeline and working with adjustment layers followed by warp stabilizers is a pretty smooth experience. There is some lag and slowing down occasionally, but nothing too distracting. Overall, it's pretty decent. The usability aspect of this machine is quite good by today's standards, I'd say. You have access to just about every port the average creative professional would need, and even a disk drive, which likely you won't get any use from you. The battery life isn't great with just 4 hours of active use, so you'll want to take your charger with you. This laptop is not particularly light or thin, but it's not too difficult to travel around with. What makes this machine so appealing to me is the fact that it has an NVIDIA GPU that is still capable of prosumer work and a processor that hasn't given in, so performance-wise it's not too bad. Even just using this laptop as a browsing machine will keep you pretty satisfied, as long as you're not expecting 2019 performance from a 2012 device. Some of the complaints I'm about to share have already been revised with newer models. However, they're worth mentioning if you were considering this particular device. For example, the screen is actually pretty good in terms of color and even brightness, but the resolution is pretty low for proper professional or creative work. I would consider getting a separate monitor for the best color presentation and sharpness achievable. The battery life is definitely not so good at this stage. If you can manage to replace the battery with a newer one, things might be different, but I suspect that most units you'll come across will have the same issues. The webcam is pretty shoddy, but this was never revised. I would also consider investing in an SSD and additional RAM if you're looking at this model to make the most out of your machine. That's all for my complaints. Now, I'm ready to deliver on a conclusion to this review, or a revisiting rather. This laptop was awesome in 2012 and is still kicking in 2019. It doesn't run as fast as it once did, and it's definitely outdated hardware-wise, but it still has great build quality. A great display, good keyboard, good trackpad, and okay performance. If you can find it for pretty cheap, I would buy one and upgrade the RAM and SSD right away to make this machine a lot faster. So, surprisingly, I would recommend this in 2019 if you need a cheap MacBook that can do some productive work. But speaking of recommending things in 2019, I would be doing you a disservice if I left out my recommendation for
PureVPN. They offer safe browsing across any web browser while keeping your browsing data away from your internet service provider or any other snoopers. They offer unlimited data transfer from streaming or downloading. They have more than 2,000 servers in over 140 countries and work through desktop and mobile apps. You can also stay active on 5 different devices at once from the same account with 24/7 tech support. To get yourself signed up, click on the affiliate link in the description.
For more content, make sure to subscribe to our channel. And to stay updated when a new video comes out, make sure to click on that bell and enable notifications. Links to everything featured in this video will be found in the description, as well as links for what to watch next. This has been Nicholas from Tech Summit. Thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you all later. Enjoy.